you do your little movement and then you're like, okay, press the buttons and now we're rolling. Today we're going to be talking about Los Angeles cocktails. So a while ago we were doing some episodes on cocktails inspired by different countries, like French cocktails and Italian cocktails and Mexican cocktails. So for today's episode I thought we would focus in a little bit more minutely on cities as opposed to countries. And I wanted to start with the City of Angels, where I live, Los Angeles, because this is where I grew up as a bartender. I'm intimately familiar with all the bars, and the bartending world and the cocktail world has changed so much in the, 15, 16 years that I've been doing it in the city that I thought it would be kind of fun to take a look at some of the earlier cocktails. And so the cocktail, renaissance, for lack of a better word, or cocktails became very popular here in LA, probably around 2005 or 2006. The Varnish, which was the bar in the back of Kohl's, which is one of the most famous speakeasies in LA, opened in 2008. They were predated by a bar called the Roger Room, which was the very first speakeasy in LA, which I think opened in 2005, but don't quote me, I could be wrong. And then the bartending world, where cocktails became really exploded, was probably when I first got started here, probably around 2008 to 2013. That's where I'm going to put it. Then things started, rapidly getting a lot more culinary. But the cocktails that we're going to be doing today are incredibly simple. They're all riffs on classics. They're going to be very easy to make. I'm going to be focusing more on the bars that created them rather than the bartenders, because I don't have creation details for a lot of the bartenders. So if anyone knows and you want to put those bartenders in the comments, please do, and I will put them in the description as I get them. So before we start, I wanted to let you guys know that all of the cocktails in this video come from this book. And this book's actually special to me. It's still in print, and I don't know how exactly we figured this out, but I'm actually in this book randomly. I didn't realize it, but if you switch to the section where they did something on Kohl's, that's a young Leandro bartending at Kohl's, apparently making a mink julep. I just can't remember if these people interviewed me or how they got the recipe. So I just wanted to, I found this at my local Barnes & Noble. It's still out there. My local Barnes & Noble has like 4 copies of this. What's great about this book is that it's like stepping into a time machine of when I first started bartending in LA. So all of the bars in here are the ones that were really big then. Some of them are still around, some of them are not. And so I tried to choose some cocktails that are really original LA cocktails, and let's get into it. The first cocktail that we're going to be doing is called Baby's First Bourbon, and it comes from a bar called Harvard & Stone, which was one of a collection of bars in the Houston Brothers Bar Group. Harvard & Stone was one of the very first LA bars which figured out how to turn out like decent cocktails in a late night, high volume environment without compromising too much quality at all. The interior of the bar is like old-timey, kind of apothecary style place. It got very busy there. They do music nightly, and so if you're in LA, you should definitely hit them up. So first thing we're going to do is grab our tin, and we're going to grab our Angostura bitters, which I should have had out here, but I didn't. And we're going to do just a few dashes, about 4 dashes of Angostura bitters. And then we're going to do 3/4 of an ounce of Orgeat. And I just made this like quick and dirty Orgeat. You can get a link for up here.
If we remember.
We will remember, because we'll put a little note to remember. Comment
below if we forgot.
Okay, fair enough. And then we're going to do I don't know. I feel like I don't know. It's like an OCD that like I have a knife here, I have this here, and I just have to move it. Like I don't want it. I want this to be organized. 3/4 of an ounce of lemon juice, 2 ounces of bourbon. Today we're using Elijah Craig. This is essentially an Army-Navy cocktail, like almost exactly, but we're just taking the gin out and adding bourbon instead. Let's grab some ice, of which I have to cut more, I think, Marius, because I am running out of ice here. Just give us a shake. And a strain. And then we're gonna give this a little twist and discard. And get that fresh lemon, pop on it. No garnish. Cheers. It's nice and bright, a bunch of spice, and obviously some tempering bitterness from the Angostura bitters, but you still get that nice, bright lemony pop, and then you have a little bit of, savory sweetness from the Orgeat. For those of you that don't know, Orgeat is an almond syrup, so you get the almondy kind of quality. Usually Orgeats, like the one that I have, have a little bit more sugar than they do water. It's like a 1.25 to 1 ratio. So a little bit sweeter. So there it is, guys. Baby's first bourbon. The Campanula Sour comes from Copa de Oro, which is one of the very early LA cocktail bars that was really innovating great drinks. It was under the bar direction of a guy named Vincenzo Marinella for many, many years, and it persisted for almost a decade, which is really rare in the bar world at all. Just having something that lasts 10 years and is popular for that time is quite a feat, seeing as, you know, it's very easy for bars to shut down and go out of business. It is a vodka-based craft cocktail, which is really indicative of the time that it was created. You don't see that so much these days, but especially not in LA. Let's get into it. So first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna grab a tin and we're gonna put, you know, 10 to 15 mint leaves, kind of a lot, into the bottom of this tin here. Directions call for half an ounce of red bell pepper juice, or you can put in a ring and muddle it. I wanted to go the muddling route because I didn't want to have to clean my juicer, but 1 ring is not going to equate half an ounce of juice, so I put 3 rings in there, which is still not going to give you half an ounce of juice, but it'll get a little bit closer. I do think that half an ounce of juice, though, is a little bit much, given all of the delicate flavors in this cocktail, but I wanted to get as close to the original as I can-ish. 3/4 ounce of lemon juice, 1 bar spoon of simple syrup. We're going to be using this grapefruit rose vodka. A full 2 ounces of this grapefruit rose vodka. 3/4 ounce of Saint-Germain. I think I should address something that was a question on my Instagram. We did a episode here where I was talking about things to put in the fridge, and Saint-Germain was on there. And when I did it on Instagram, you saw the Saint-Germain, but it never gets addressed in the video. And a lot of people were asking me about Saint-Germain being in the fridge, why it was on there, and isn't it shelf stable? Everyone started getting crazy in the comments. Even the brand ambassador of Saint-Germain weighed in about its shelf stability and why it would possibly be in a video that is talking about some Amari and vermouths and things that need to be in the fridge. So let's just clear it up right now. Saint-Germain is 100% shelf stable, okay? It is elderflower macerated into spirits. It will not go bad, but it will oxidize, and when it oxidizes, over time, it will turn color. So on the Saint-Germain website, they say it's best to be consumed within 6 months because of this color changing effect. What I have found, though, is that if you keep it in the fridge, like some other liqueurs that are also shelf stable, like, I don't know, creme de mure, which is blackberry liqueur, shelf stable, creme de cassis, which is blackcurrant liqueur, and also shelf stable. If you take these things, though, and that will oxidize over time, and put them in the fridge, you can eke out more time before the color changes. And for me, in a situation where I'm making cocktails on camera, it's really important that things look the way that they're supposed to look, so that you guys make cocktails that look the way they're supposed to look, because nobody wants a gray cocktail. And this stuff does turn kind of grayish. So just to clear it up, it's 100% shelf stable. You can put it on the shelf. The flavor won't change. And even when it turns color and becomes kind of browny gray, if you taste it, it will still taste awesome, but it does look crazy. So I put it in the fridge to just extend the amount of time that I have on the bottle before it starts changing color. Capiche? I'm gonna muddle this guy right in the pants right here. I put the mint on the bottom so that we can express the oils without extracting the vegetal flavors as we really muddle this red bell pepper. I don't know why that just like, it went right out of my brain. Because you want to be able to extract some of the juice from the red bell pepper, but at the same time, you don't want to over muddle that mint. Give it a shake. New coupe glass. Do we have a new coupe coming out? Gotta double strain this guy. Really get all that vegetal matter out. It's a nice color though, I like it. Look how frothy that is. Throw in a little red bell pepper here as a garnish. Cheers. It's like salad. It's like drinking salad. Nice and tart. The elderflower right on the back end of that lemon. The mint providing some nice botanical element. And then also the grapefruit is really sharp with that lemon juice as well. And then you get the red bell pepper in there. It all balances really nicely. It's actually kind of on the tart side of balance. Really nice. That bar spoon of simple syrup just kind of really helps that balance. It kind of reminds me of all of the citrus elements of ceviche without the fish. Does that make sense?
I guess, yeah.
It's nice, like burrata, tomato, and grapefruit or something. It's really brilliant. There it is, the Campanula Sour. The Reles Sour comes from the Edison, which is a bar located in the basement of the historic Higgins building in downtown Los Angeles. And at one time, it was LA's very first power plant. The bar kind of keeps that vision alive. On the one hand, it looks like a 1920s bar, and on the other hand, it looks like something out of Blade Runner. It's really cool. It's a huge space, so not much of a speakeasy. And it's still open today, so you should check it out. The Reles Sour takes its name, I'm assuming, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm assuming it's from a Jewish mobster of the 1930s named Abraham Kid Twist Reles, who was a hitman for Meyer Lansky's National Crime Syndicate in New York City. He was one of the top guys in a group of people known as Murder Incorporated. He turned state witness at the end of his crime career, and he was thrown from a building while in police custody, so obviously it was a hit job. At the time of his death, he was gonna drop a dime on the Gambino crime family as well, so they probably had him. Anyway, this sour commemorates him. First things first, half an ounce of lime juice, half an ounce of homemade vanilla syrup, quarter ounce of orange juice, half an ounce of Mandarin Napoleon orange liqueur, and an ounce and a half of Mount Gay Black Barrel rum. I like to do this in the other tin so I don't ruin my cocktail if I get little bits and bobs in there or the yolk falls in. We're just gonna do it in a separate tin. Add it together, give it a nice 30-second dry shake. The crazy shake! That'll shake. Now, we're gonna add a single piece of ice.
Oh, no cheater cube this time?
Oh, I should do a cheater cube. You're totally right. You're totally right. Let's not forget the cheater cube. I think that's a very important step. A very important step. Right you are, Marius. Right you are. Let's find a nice small cheater cube here. Put that in there as well. Make sure we lock that up real nice. Give it a nice shake. Strain it. Now, here's the thing. This recipe calls for a float of a Malbec reduction, but it doesn't specify how much of a float. Usually a float is 1/4 of an ounce, so I take it that it's going to be a 1/4 of an ounce float. The whole reason why wine floats on top of a cocktail is because the cocktail has more sugar than the wine does, and so therefore it is more dense, and the lighter wine will float on top. Same thing as like when you pour soda on a cocktail like over ice, the soda will layer because of the density. So this has been reduced by half, right? Is this going to float or is it going to sink? I'm gonna pour 1/4 ounce in here. It is decidedly thicker than wine, okay? Is this gonna float? That's the question. I guarantee it's gonna coat the back of this spoon. Well, I also spilled it all over the glass. It like dribbled off the foam down the glass, so I should have left a little space at the top, which I know I should have done it, but here, we'll clean it up off the glass. But I think we're gonna have to make this into latte art. Oh, dude, get a shot of this though. This is really cool looking now. You can do some crazy latte art with that. That's really cool looking, actually. Okay, moment of truth. It is fantastically good. Oh, whoa, and the reduced wine really gives it this huge punch of flavor. It's like a huge punch of flavor. The Mandarin Napoleon and the orange juice really play nicely together, and then the Mandarin Napoleon with the rum really, kind of form the body of the cocktail. So you have, kind of the rum notes, right, from your black barrel. The black barrel brings you some burnt sugar and molasses notes, and you couple that with the Mandarin Napoleon, which is kind of like spiced orange. On top of that, you have the orange juice, kind of punching up the orange. The vanilla syrup gives it almost like a orange creamsicle flavor. And then on top of that, you've got the red wine reduction. So the Malbec reduction, usually reductions will have a couple of teaspoons of agave syrup, but I omitted the syrup because I didn't want to make it heavy and make it sink in the cocktail. So your red wine reduction is going to be kind of bitter on the palate, but it pairs so well with the cocktail that it just punches the flavor up. You get all of the berries of that red wine sort of, I don't know how to describe it more than just sort of swimming through the cocktail. It is really fantastic. I highly recommend doing this. It does take a little work. You need to reduce some Malbec. If you use another kind of wine, it might come out differently. You need to get Mandarin Napoleon, but I highly recommend just going out and doing it because this is a fantastic drink. Probably one of the better drinks. I was gonna say that I had this year, but it's like it's one of the first drinks that I've had this year. It is setting a very high bar for the cocktails that I will taste in 2024. So here it is. I guess I don't need to keep it pretty because we shot all the thumbnails and everything, so I can just kind of enjoy it. And you know, I gotta say that the bitterness of the reduction actually acts like bitters in this cocktail. So although it's a New York Sour variation, the wine is playing the part of the wine in that cocktail, and then also the bitters that you would normally get on the top of a whiskey sour. It's actually really brilliant if you think about it. All right, guys, there it is. The Reles Sour. I think that this video does illustrate one thing very well, and that is in the earlier days of the, kind of cocktail renaissance, for lack of a better term, it really was about just really small changes on the templates. And you can see just how much variety you get when you do that. You really don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to add in a ton of modernist techniques to make really interesting cocktails. All you gotta do is a few small tweaks on some classics and you can really make stuff that is your own. I did not, in the earlier part of this video, ask you guys to hit like and subscribe. So if you like this video or videos like this, hit like, hit subscribe. And I just wanna say, we don't say it very often, but Marius and I just wanna thank you guys for all of the years you have been supporting this channel. Really, really appreciate it. And the ones that watch to this point in the video, we really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys on another time.